right. Hey, well, good morning, wildlife. How you guys doing this morning? Good, awesome stuff. Hey, well, I want to ask you guys a question. Just raise your hand. I have some Kit Kats to throw at you if you want some. So here's the question: with Halloween coming up very soon, what is your favorite holiday of all time? Here's some ground rules real quickly. You cannot say your birthday, all right? Because that you're just like, my favorite holiday is me. Like that's just not like that's fine for you, but not for me. So raise your hand. What is your favorite holiday and why? Let's go right here in the pink. Tell everyone your name loud and proud. Bella? Is that what you said? Sorry, yeah, guys, give it up for Bella. I just want to make sure, guys. All right, Bella, what is your favorite holiday of all time? Christmas or Easter? All right, all right. Which one out of those two, though? Let's go with Christmas. Let's go with Christmas. All right, here you go. I'm going to Kit Kat right here. Boom. Nailed it. Sorry, some was in my eyes. Let's go with a couple more. Let's go in the very back corner next to Charlie. I'm so sorry, Charlie, not you. I know. Charlie was like me, and I was like, no, sorry. All right, tell everyone your name loud and proud. Stella, give it up for Stella, guys. Give it up for her. What's your favorite holiday of all time? Thanksgiving. All right. How come? The food. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Charlie. This, if you get it, give it to Stella. Oh, and all right, we'll try again later. Let's try one more. Let's get a guy. Let's get a guy who's got a good one. Got a good one. All right. Tell everyone your name loud and proud. Jonathan Gomez. Guys, let's give it up for Jonathan. What a good name. All right, Jonathan, what's your go-to holiday? Christmas. Anyone else Christmas? Yeah, that's right. All right, Jonathan, what are you asking for Christmas this year? That's true. And is there anything you're asking for Christmas? Like you're hoping to get? Like, I want a new pair of socks. That's awesome. That's awesome. There you go. There you go. I think for me, I really actually do need some new socks. That's as you get older, you're like socks are actually pretty great as a gift. All right, you guys can go ahead and put your hands down if you want to let me know later. I would love to hear that. If you were to ask me, Flag Day, 100%. I don't know why that's even a holiday. I understand it's about flags, but why? Like, what is it about flags? The type of flag, the type of fabric, polyester versus cotton. America, that's good. Hey, well, a couple things. If we haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Johnny, and I'm on staff here in Wildlife. Couple of things as we jump into what we call a time of teaching. That's where we're about to head into. There's a message note sheet, a blue and white message note sheet that should have been on the table in front of you. If you have one, just raise it up in the air like you just don't care that we know you have one. Hey, that is a great way to follow along. If you're like me, I'm easily forgetful. So there's some fill in the blanks on the front and the back. The fill ins will be on the screen for you. So I'm so excited. If you feel like drawing something, feel free. There's some open space there. If you want to also show your parents later what you learned, your parents would love to hear what you guys have been learning in wildlife. All right. So we're going to be continuing this series called Me, Myself, and iPhone. If you are brand new this morning, big special welcome to you. We are so excited. What this time is, what this time of teaching is that it's an opportunity for all of us, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, and even staff in this room as well, including myself. This is a chance for us to open up God's word, the Bible, to see who Jesus is and what he is calling us to as middle school students. So if you have your note sheet ready, good to go. Grab a pen with you. We're going to be using those in a minute. Let's go ahead and pray, and we will jump right in. Jesus, thank you so much, man, that your presence is in this room right now. And that is something we should never, ever take for granted, that, man, your presence brings life. And as we jump into this topic of social media and understanding how we can use social media with wisdom and discernment so that we can better reflect who you are to people that maybe do not know who you are. So we love you so much, and it's in your name we all said amen. Hey, well, like I said, we are continuing a series we started a few weeks ago called Me, Myself, and iPhone. And whether you have an iPhone or not, this series is designed for you. What we've been looking at is we've been looking at how all of us can better manage the screens in our lives with God and the Bible in mind. Because if you don't know, screens are all around us, whether it's a screen at home on a TV, whether it's a screen in your parents' Tesla, like whatever it is, screens are all around us. There's a screen right here, there's a screen on my watch. Screens are everywhere. And screens can be a good thing, right? But we need to learn how can we manage the screens in our lives so that we're not completely like addicted to the screens and stuff like that. So this weekend we are going to be touching on the topic known as social media. Now, raise a hand if you have a social media account or your parents have one or you've even heard of this phrase social media. All right? I think most of us in this room either have one, have a couple of those, whatever, right? We're going to be talking about social media. Now, raise a hand who thinks they know, and if you're here last night, just play along. Who thinks they know what is the most popular social media platform of all time? Raise your hand. What do you think? All right, let's go. Isaiah, what do you think? TikTok. All right, all right, all right. And then I'm so sorry. Go ahead. What do you think? Yeah. Instagram. All right, all right. Let's go with one more. What do you get? Yeah. What do you think? Facebook. Okay. All right. Hey, well, so many different. All of you are like, what's a Facebook? It's something your parents use and I use for Facebook Marketplace. And actually, she's right. The number one social media platform of all time, still to this day, is Facebook, with 2.6 billion active users. That's a lot of users. All right. And I know all of you are like, isn't that like the boomer social media? How dare you? How dare you? But you just said it is. Wow. Wow. Hey, well, it is a lot of people. I'll take you back to a time when I was in seventh grade. I still remember when I first got a Facebook. It was very like popular at the time. It's still popular, obviously 2.6 billion people. But I remember how awesome it was. It was a way to connect with friends. I looked the other day at my Facebook. I have like 700 friends. I couldn't tell you who they are at all. But I was like, oh, seven, a good job, Johnny. What's interesting also about Facebook is recently, as time goes on, Facebook will remind you of a post you made 8 years ago. And it'll be like, this is what you look like 8 years ago. And you're like, oh gosh, that's ugh. Like I once had a buzz cut like Cody, and it just wasn't good. I know. People said I looked like Sid from Toy Story, and I cried a little bit. But that was Facebook. Now, let's think about the apps. All of you are like, wow. Let's now think about the social media apps in your life. So let's play a little bit of a game. All you need to do is when a social media app goes on the screen, just raise your hand if you happen to have one of these, all right? Or you've at least heard of it, all right? Let's go with the first one on the screen, Instagram. Instagram. Raise a hand if you have one or you have at least heard of it before. I remember when I first got my Instagram, I made it and then I got immediately 8 followers and I was like, wow, I am popular. Let's go with this next one on the screen, Snapchat. Who has one or has heard of one? I stopped using my Snapchat a few years ago because it just got so like just gross and just it also got confusing on how to use it. And I was like, wow, I'm getting old. That's great. Next one on the screen is Twitter, now known as X for some reason. Um, I have a Twitter. I don't use it. If you want to follow me, don't. Let's go to this next one right here. Give it up for TikTok. Some people are booing. That's fine. That's fine. TikTok, I would say, is the most popular social media app with Generation Z and even now Generation Alpha. That's a lot of you guys. That's a lot of words that you don't need to know. Next, let's go right here on the screen. YouTube. Anyone use YouTube? I love watching people fail on YouTube. It brings me joy. When someone like falls off of a dirt bike and you're like, is their arm broken? I don't care. That's funny. Let's go with this next one on the screen. Pinterest. Anyone? Okay, Pinterest. Hey, I want to know, just like shout it out. What do you guys use Pinterest for? Information. Memes. I like Hannah. She's like memes. Good. Memes are great. Let's go to this next one right here. I think everyone can agree. The messaging or texting app on your phone. LinkedIn. I had that disabled. Does anyone have LinkedIn? All the staff. If you guys don't know what LinkedIn is, I really couldn't tell you because I don't have one because I have a career here and I'm good. I'm set. I'm good to go. If you want to talk to Cody or Michael after about LinkedIn, they'll get you on LinkedIn. It's a business thing. Uh, Texting. Anyone use the texting app on their phone? Whether it's on an iPhone or an Android, or you're old school and you have a flip phone, or you're super old school and you have a carrier pigeon or something like that, all of these social media apps are very popular. I think we can all agree that so many of us either use it or at least have heard of it or have friends at school or even older siblings that have some sort of social media. Now, before we show it, so Braden, this is like a little heads up before, don't spoil it right now. I want to take you guys back to the year 2003. This was way before even some of our staff were born, which is weird. 2003 was the year the first official social media platform came out. Can anyone guess what you think it is? I'm not calling on the people that were here last night, so just keep it. Yes, you were. So just keep it to yourself. Yeah, P2. What do you think? Vine? No, but how old do you think Vine is? I miss Vine. First off, you guys know what Vine is? No, and yet it was the better version of TikTok, in my opinion. Hold on. Shh. What do you think? Oh, Tumblr. Okay. Someone last night said a pager, and I was like, I don't think you know what that is. I'll give you the answer. I'm not calling on that row. I know, but I know. Yeah, I know. It's life isn't fair. It's just not. MySpace. MySpace. MySpace was the first social media app to exist, and this was even before Facebook. It was so popular. I'd never had one. I was like right after the MySpace era. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But why this was so popular is because this was the first social media platform to reach a global scale. It was the first platform. I'm not going to say app because smartphones weren't even a thing back then. But this is the social media platform that was the first global social media to ever exist. And so many parents freaked out because there was nothing like this at the time, that you could become friends with people across the globe. You can immediately message people in another state. It was wild to think about. Now, for example, I want to show you guys what a profile picture looked like on MySpace. So here's the image on the screen. I don't know who Tom is, but this is Tom. Everyone say hi, Tom. So this is an example this is an example of what MySpace would look like for your profile. So a couple of things that would be shown is it would have a picture of you. That's the picture Tom chose. Poor Tom. It would have hobbies, interests. Honestly, in my opinion, a lot of things about who you are and what you are interested in. Probably more information than most people should actually know. And here's the crazy thing. Listen up, there would be this thing called like your top 8 friends lists. Now, what this is basically on your MySpace profile, you would have your top 8 friends that you saw as like your top 8. And you're probably like, oh, just like a list of 8 people. It's like, no, it was like ranked. And you were the one to decide who was number 1, number 2, number 3. No, how brutal is that, right? Like, imagine you're going to your friend's MySpace face. You're like, I love Tom. And you're like, Tom put me from 4 to 5. What did I do to Tom, right? Or you would be number 1 one day, and then your friend would push you all the way down to number 8. I'm not making this. Isn't that brutal? Or even, you would even be fully removed from your friends list altogether. Isn't that pretty brutal? And the reason I share all of that is because as we discuss social media, I want all us to know is that social media is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It can be a really good thing, but it's not all bad. For example, I have an Instagram. Wildlife has an Instagram. Like, I love posting photos of my wife and I, of what we're up to, of our awesome dog. I love even going onto YouTube and looking at awesome fail videos and just seeing people adventure. Like, I love doing those things. But like my parents warned me, and I'm sure your parents have warned you, social media can have a danger to it. Just like anything, social media can be dangerous. So, what I want to do at the time that we have, I want us to walk through how we can use social media with wisdom and discernment in mind. So, here's the thing, here's your first fill in on your note sheet. At the top of your note sheet, write this down. Think before you type. Your words, our words, are permanent. Think before you type. Our words are permanent. And the reason I wrote scary right next to it is because think about that. When you post something or you tweet something or you post something on TikTok or whatever, what you put out there on the internet, even if you delete it, will always still be on the internet. I had a middle school computer teacher. I don't remember his name, but he was awesome. He taught me how to use PowerPoint, and I still don't use PowerPoint to this day. But he told me, he was like, "Hey, Johnny, just so you know," he's talking to a couple of our friends and stuff. He's like, "Just because you delete something, like a photo, doesn't mean it's gone from the internet. Yeah, it might be gone off of your profile, but people can still find it. If someone wanted to find that photo or that post or whatever, they can still find it." So, what we're going to talk about just for a little bit is before you post something or say something, think it through because the words that we say, that we post, are permanent. James chapter 1, follow along with me on your note sheet. It's the verse right below your first point. It says this: everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Now, that is some solid wisdom from James. James is saying, hey, think before you say something because so many people are too quick to speak their mind. People don't think things through before they say them. And they might regret what they say. Like they might say something and they go, "Oh, no, 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 I didn't mean to say that." And we're like, "Well, why'd you say it?" "Well, I don't know." Or have you ever like texted something to someone and you hit send and then autocorrect changed it to something else and you were like, "Oh my gosh, I called them a frog. They're not a frog." Like whatever stupid thing it is. Luckily, Apple has introduced this whole like undo feature. You have like 15 minutes to undo a text. If you didn't know that, it might save your life. But oftentimes we're not thinking through what we are posting, what we are saying, and oftentimes we are left feeling very regretful, like I didn't mean to do that. And I don't know if you know this, but research has shown that so many people are willing to be more honest online than face to face in person. Now, what I mean by that, many people are willing to be brutally honest with someone else. Like it could be a good thing or even like kind of mean to someone online versus in person. And I think the reason for that is because when you're sharing or saying something about someone else online, you're not seeing their facial reactions or how they're reacting. Like if you say something like super mean and hurtful, you're not going to see their reaction of like, "Oh, that actually like hurt my feelings." So what's interesting is that research has shown that more people are would rather be open or even meaner online than in person because they kind of have like a bubble or like a barrier between the actual person and then how they're actually treating that person. It's very interesting, but and this is like why it's so like true how online bullying is becoming like bigger and bigger to this day. Like if you ever like even go in like a comment section on like a post or something, it can get pretty brutal out there. And the truth of the matter is that if we don't think of things before we say them or before we post them, there's going to be great consequences for our actions. And what's interesting is that many influencers, a YouTube influencer or a TikTok influencer, whatever it is, an influencer, there are people out there like influencers that have said something and it's immediately ruined their entire career. Everything they've built up to, it's ruined it because they didn't think through what they said. If you don't know, we live in like this crazy like cancel culture, which basically says like if you wronged someone, that person will be like, "I cancel you out of my life," which is a really weird thing to think about. So that's our first point. Think through what you say, or our words are permanent. Second point is this: be picky with the words you choose to post. Be picky. Your words, no one else is forcing you to say them. Be picky with the words you choose to post. Paul writes to the church in Ephesus in the book of Ephesians in the New Testament. He says, "No foul language should come from your mouth, but only what is good for building up someone in need, so that it gives grace to those who hear." Now, the Bible is so clear. Basically, if you aren't going to use your words for good, Paul would say, then just don't say anything at all. That's easier said than done, right? Someone at school says something to you and you just want to like get back to them because you heard a rumor about them and you just want to say something back to them. Paul says, hey, don't say that. If you're not going to use your words for good, we'll talk a little bit later about building other people up, encouraging other people. Don't say it. Now, quick sidebar here is that oftentimes you're going to have conversations, hard conversations with people you like or maybe people you don't even like. And we need to learn, how can we do that well? How can we do it with grace and truth, with love and truth in mind? Because you're going to have hard conversations, and sometimes it's going to be really difficult. But Matthew 18:15, your next verse right below the one in Ephesians, it says this. Jesus is saying this. If your brother or sister, not like your literal brother or sister, like your brother or sister in Christ Jesus, if your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault. That's awesome. Someone wronged you, Jesus says, go point out their fault. That sounds pretty cool to me, but let's keep reading what Jesus says. Go point out their fault just between the two of you. Now, he's not saying go grab a couple of buddies before you approach this person and be like, can you believe she said this? Or can you believe he did this? And you kind of like gang up on this person. No, Jesus is saying, hey, you go to the person just between the two of you. And if they listen to you, you have won them over. Now, what he is saying and what he's not saying is he is not saying go and post about them online in a very passive aggressive way so that you can have all your followers or all the people that follow you kind of gang up on these people. Like I've seen so many times people will use social media kind of as a way for other people to get on their side so that everyone can gang up on this one person. It's a terrible thing. And it's not how Jesus wants us to live. Jesus says, go face to face, not FaceTime, like face to face with the person and have that conversation. And if you're like, man, that sounds really hard and scary, it is really hard and scary. But I would encourage you, maybe grab your life group leader just to have some advice, because your life group leader will keep things private. They're not going to go and tweet about it or post it at all. So it's super important. Think about it before you say it and go to that person. Now, what I love as we're talking about being picky with our words, I found this Bible translation called Good News Translation. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll use the Bible app and I'm like, man, like NIV is great, ESV is awesome, NLT I like, but like, man, there's some other cool translations of the Bible that are all saying the same thing, just in a different way. So it's not like this one's better than the other. Now, the Good News translation for Proverbs 29:11, follow along with me. I love how brutally honest it is. So follow along with me. It's on the back of your note sheet at the top. It says, Stupid people, stupid people express their anger openly, but sensible people are patient and hold it back." I just love how brutally honest that is, right? Basically, if we were to break that down, this is how I would say it. Stupid people speak without thinking, but wise people think before they speak. You know, some of you know I love Star Wars. I think Star Wars is awesome. Ahsoka was a good show. I liked it. Not really watching Rebels at all. I thought it was a good show. But the like nine actual movies, like the prequels, the originals, the sequel trilogies. Has anyone ever seen like Star Wars movies before? Raise a hand. Has anyone big fans of the prequels, like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith? Revenge of the Sith is the best one, but it's not even like that good. Empire Strikes Back, way to go. But in the very first, chronologically, the very first Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace, there's this guy known as Master Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn. We have a photo of him on the screen here. He was the master of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who he was then the master of Anakin Skywalker. And really, things just got real fast with the Empire. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon saves the life of an annoying character known as Jar Jar Binks. And you can fight me on it. Jar Jar is annoying. I love the theory, by the way, of Jar Jar that he's actually like a Sith Lord. I think that's hilarious. I hope they kind of make that canon one day. But anyway, in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon saves the life of Jar Jar Binks, and Jar Jar is just like, oh, thank you so much. He talks really weird, talks like a frog. That's how I think a frog is to talk like. Qui-Gon says one thing, and I'll talk about it, but check this out.
Oh, muy, I love you.
You almost got us killed. Are you brainless?
I speak.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
Brutally honest. Now, what I love what Qui-Gon says there is it's actually on your note sheet. Follow along with me. He says the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now, I think there's an important, powerful principle there that just because you can talk, just because you can say something, doesn't mean you should. So be incredibly picky with the words you choose to say. Are they going to encourage people or tear people down? Last point. Here's your next fill-in. Our choice of words tells our followers how it is we want to be known. I'll give you a second to write that down. But basically, how we choose the words we want to post or what we want to say shares with our followers how it is we want to be known. Because wildlife, this is what I've learned. In my time doing middle school, doing wildlife ministry, all of us, it's like wired in our DNA. We want to be known, we want to be seen, and we really want other people to understand where we are coming from. But our actions, the words that we say, are a direct reflection of how our hearts are. And Jesus always talked about our hearts, talked about the heart. So he says this. You guys got the fill-in? You guys got that? Good? Sweet. So Jesus says this in Luke chapter 6. Write this. You're not going to write this down. Follow along with me. It says this. A good person produces good out of the good stored up in his heart. An evil person produces evil out of the evil stored up in his heart. For his mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. Now, what Jesus is saying there is like, hey, based on how your heart is how then you're going to treat other people. How your heart is then going to depend how you talk to other people, how you act around other people, how you treat other people. It's a direct reflection of your heart. And I'm going to take that one step further, that even what you post, what you consume on social media, on Netflix, on any platform that has a screen, what you watch, what you post is also a direct reflection of how your heart is. And that's a hard thing to analyze, right? That's a hard thing to think about. How is your heart? Here's a question just to think about. You don't need to answer it. Just think about, do your social medias, your TikTok account, your Instagram account, your Snapchat, whatever it is, if people were to look at that, would they immediately go like, oh, this person loves Jesus? If they were to look at that and be like, oh man, this person like is a follower of, this person's different. Now, I'm not saying you have to post about scripture or about the Bible and be like, I was reading Lamentations the other day and wow, you don't have to do that. But I think we can still use our social medias in a good way that still shares that we love people and we love God and we love people. Now, I did this last night. Oh, actually, real quick, this one verse, Psalm 19:14. Follow along. It says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Is your heart, is it in a good place? Are the words you say, are they a direct reflection of your heart? Now, I thought this would be really fun. So I pulled up a couple, before we show it, I pulled up a couple of social media accounts, some Instagram accounts of a couple of people on staff here. And they don't know that I did this, but they work for me, so I can do whatever I want. Now, the first one here is Jonathan Ponce's Instagram. Let's get this first one right here. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, when you see all of your life, is there any like dirt? No, he's awesome. Here's the thing about when you look at someone's Instagram, volunteers, just so you know, I didn't grab yours because I want you to stay in wildlife. Um, when you look at someone's social media, it's basically directly showing you like what kind of person that they are. Jonathan has a Bible verse in his profile picture, so that means he's a Christian. No, I'm joking. Now that shares a little bit of like, okay, this guy's different. He loves Jesus, right? Couple of photos. Um, the last photo he posted was when he was proposing to his now wife. So adorable, very cute. I know, I know. And then there's some other photos of his brother, of some friends. He has one photo in the bottom left or middle of him like throwing coffee or something. Like you see that, Jonathan loves people, he loves his wife, he loves the Bible. Really cool. This next one right here is Kate Perry. Uh, as you guys know, Kate, she's awesome. She loves Disneyland. A couple of things on her bio kind of shares a little bit about us. Is she's a gamer. Kate, what are you playing right now? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're not a gamer. She's like Call of Duty. Um, she's a earring collector. She goes to CSUN, the church at Rocky Peak. Does that mean you are the church? I don't know what that means. John 12:45. If you want to ask Kate what that is, hopefully she has that memorized. Uh, and then a couple of photos here. We see that she loves her friends. She loves music. She loves her boyfriend Colin. You see a lot of things about Kate. She loves people. She loves God. Awesome stuff. This next one on the screen, he's not even here, but he's my boss, so we'll see how this goes. Is Pastor Dre, right? Pastor Dre. If you guys don't know, Dre is a giant geek. You know how I know that? It says so on his bio. It says that he's a geek. He's a teaching pastor at Rocky Peak. He's a waffle enthusiast. He loves waffles. That's what that means. And then he's secretly 3 ducks in a man costume. I believe it. I believe it. But then you see the photos that he posts. He posts photos of his family, his wife, his kids. I think 2 years ago, they went as the Loki variants for Halloween. Super funny. He loves Marvel. Like, he loves a lot of things, right? And if we were to summarize all 3 of these profile pictures, we would kind of say that, man, these people love God. They love people. And man, they just love community. They love making people feel known, seen, heard. And the reason I shared all of that as we wrap up, all of us that call ourselves followers of Jesus, a Christian, we are a direct reflection of who Jesus is. And I want to ask the question, are you, the way you're living your life, the way you're posting, we can take that off the screen. I'm done with the waffle guy. The way that we're posting, the way that we are tweeting or whatever it is, posting videos, even looking at videos, would people look at your profile picture, what you see, your history on your YouTube channel, and mean like, man, this person loves Jesus. They love people. And that's a good question to ask. Now, I hope for you, maybe today you'll go home and you'll look at your Instagram profile, or maybe you'll look at the things that you post or your history and be like, man, do I love Jesus based off of the things that I'm consuming or the things that I am posting? Now, as we are continuing navigating how we can navigate screens with God and the Bible in mind, next week is our last week. I want us to think about this one last thought. As the band comes up, this one last thought on your note sheet, here it is. Your words can have a powerful influence. Your words have incredible influence. The words that you say, the things that you post, the things that you do have a powerful influence. The way you talk to other people, especially people that don't love God, people that don't go to church, when they see how you live your life, you are representing who God is. So your words have incredible influence. We all get a chance to share and shine Jesus' light with other people. So as we wrap up this morning, I want you guys to just remind yourselves that your words have a powerful influence. And you have a choice to make. Are you going to use your words for good or for bad? Let's go ahead and pray. Jesus, thank you so much for this time. We're grateful as we have been learning about social media, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between of it. Again, Jesus, you know where our hearts are at. So would you help us understand more of how our hearts are? Because the words that we say, the actions, how we live, are a direct reflection of our hearts. It's in your name we all said, amen. Hey, I want to invite you guys to stand on up. If you feel comfortable, come right up